She gritted her teeth, her gaze resolute. As long as I can get her to stay the night, I can have a proper talk with her once we're in bed. There's still a chance to turn this around. Since those siblings are so close. Then I'll reluctantly say a few nice words about that guy later. She had already begun plotting her next move. An expectant look appeared on her pretty face. She quickly rinsed herself off, turned off the faucet, and grabbed a bath towel to wrap around herself. Moments later, Ariel emerged from the bathroom wrapped in the towel. The towel barely covered her chest and the tops of her thighs, leaving a large expanse of fair skin exposed. Her delicate collarbones glistened with moisture in the steam. The softness of her breasts was pressed beneath the towel into an enticing cleavage. Her two long shapely legs were left bare. Droplets slid down the insides of her thighs, leaving trails of sparkling moisture. As the front door opened, a sweet, clean fragrance quickly drifted out. It was the scent of body wash mixed with the natural fragrance unique to a young woman, spreading through the air. "I'm back, little Mushi. Do you want to wash up? I still have one of Leah's dresses here. It should be about the same size as yours." Her voice was filled with anticipation. A light gleamed in her red eyes. As she spoke, Ariel looked around. Her gaze swept over every corner of the room. A puzzled look appeared on her pretty face. Only then did she realize that she was the only one left in the room. Under the warm candlelight, the empty room seemed unusually quiet. The only thing there was a note on the table, its paper faintly white in the candlelight. "Damn it! Where's my great big little Mushi?" Her voice was full of despair. "I was gone for less than 10 minutes. Where is Mushi?" She stood barefoot on the floor. The hem of her towel swayed slightly with her movements. She looked just like an abandoned kitten. Seeing how pathetic Ariel looked, the soul inside the ring let out a helpless sigh. The sigh echoed within the spirit, filled with the exasperation of someone watching a disciple fail to live up to her potential. "Stop shouting. She's already gone." The voice was cool yet gentle, like a spring flowing through a mountain ravine. Hearing this, Ariel immediately snatched up the ring. Her movements were frantic and flustered. Her fair fingers gripped the ancient ring tightly. She brought it to her lips and began wailing into it, her voice filled with grief and indignation. "Master, why didn't you ask her to stay?" She collapsed onto the bed. The towel loosened slightly with her movement, revealing a large expanse of fair skin. A moment later, a stunning figure emerged from the ring. The figure was ethereal and hazy, glowing faintly beneath the candlelight. She had a mature and beautiful face, with deep-set sculpted features. Her eyes and brows carried the poise and elegance shaped by years. Her graceful figure had clearly defined curves. Even as a spirit, she radiated an irresistible charm. The corners of her red lips curved upward, carrying a hint of helpless indulgence. The spirit raised one slender finger. She gave her silly disciple a helpless look and said, "What kind of ridiculous nonsense are you spouting, you silly girl? If I showed myself, are you sure she wouldn't faint from fright?" She let out a soft sigh. The sigh was filled with helplessness. "And besides, didn't that girl leave you a note?" She pointed at the piece of paper in the center of the table. Hearing this, Ariel hurriedly climbed off the bed. Her movements were quick and frantic. The towel nearly slipped off. In a panic, she grabbed the paper from the table and opened it. Her red eyes were filled with nervous anticipation. As she read the contents, the girl's expression grew increasingly solemn. The anticipation on her face gradually turned into disappointment. Her red eyes were filled with complicated emotions. "Sorry, big sis Ariel. Thank you for your kindness. But I still want to be with my big brother. I look forward to seeing you again. Mushi Campbell." When she reached the final line, Ariel instantly burst into tears. Her tears were like pearls falling from a broken string, surging from her red eyes, rolling down her fair cheeks, and dripping onto the note, causing the ink to run. "Wah! I knew she hated me, and I even lost to that blondie." She sprawled across the table, her shoulders trembling with each sob. "She'd rather choose that bastard of a big brother than me. It's over." Wah! Sob, sob. Her voice was full of sorrow and frustration. The towel strap loosened because of her movements, revealing a swath of fair skin. But she did not notice at all. The spirit behind her said speechlessly, her eyes full of helplessness, Not necessarily. Didn't she write at the end that she was looking forward to seeing you again? Her voice was calm and rational, like a bucket of cold water poured over Ariel's head. Hearing this, Ariel's gaze locked onto that line. A glimmer of hope reignited in her red eyes. Tears still clung to her face, but the corners of her mouth had already begun to rise. Really? Little Moo, she still wants to see me. There is still a place for me in her heart. She held the note in both hands, as if it were some priceless treasure. Her entire being was lost in a blissful fantasy. The spirit looked at her disciple, who was acting like a love-struck pervert, and smacked her own forehead hard. The gesture carried a desperate helplessness. Her translucent palm passed straight through her forehead. Good grief, you silly girl. Every time you meet a pretty girl, you get all worked up like this. When are you going to grow up a little? Her voice was full of helplessness, along with a hint of habitual exhaustion. Ariel had not taken in a word of it. She turned her head and spoke with a blissful expression. Her red eyes were filled with longing. Master, Little Moo, she doesn't hate me, does she? Otherwise she wouldn't have gone out of her way to leave a note and say that she wanted to see me again. Her voice was filled with anticipation. She practically radiated pink bubbles of happiness. The older sister inside the ring chuckled softly. Her smile was beautiful and gentle. Her slender finger brushed across her cheek. A hint of thought flashed through her lovely eyes. Whether she hates you or not, I don't know. But I can say for certain that this girl named Moo Shi is unquestionably a good kid. Her voice carried a hint of approval. Her gaze fell on the note's neat handwriting. Of course, she's the girl I fell in love with at first sight. Ariel answered without hesitation. Her red eyes were filled with determination. Still, it seemed like that girl left in quite a hurry, and her complexion didn't look very good. She still needs to keep taking her medicine. I suspect she has some sort of minor health issue. A worried look appeared on her pretty face. Hearing this, Ariel lowered her head. Her red eyes were filled with guilt. I suppose that's true, but she went home alone in the middle of the night. I'm a little worried. And besides, I asked her for her communication stone channel, but I didn't manage to get it in the end. Her voice was filled with regret and self-blame. Her fingers twisted the edge of the towel. The spirit behind her spoke again, her voice carrying a hint of reminder. When we arranged to collect the final payment, didn't you ask that blonde-haired brat for his communication stone channel? Her voice was calm and clear, as if stating an obvious fact. Oh right. Ariel, whose mind had been clouded by love, instantly came to her senses. A flash of realization passed through her red eyes. She immediately took out the communication stone and began connecting to Moen's channel. Her movements were urgent and swift. Her slender fingers slid across the smooth surface of the stone. Blue light flickered in the darkness, accompanied by faint crackling sounds. Several minutes later, after who knew how many failed connection attempts, Ariel's anger began to rise. Her pretty face was filled with irritation. Her red eyes seemed ready to shoot flames. What? This bastard dares to ignore my call? She gritted her teeth. Her entire body trembled. What kind of big brother is this damn blondie? He won't even answer at this hour. Her voice was filled with fury. She looked ready to reach through the communication stone, drag the person on the other end out, and beat him senseless. Forget it. The spirit behind her waved a hand, the gesture carrying a hint of comfort. That girl used the same movement technique as the little blondie when she left. She'll probably be fine. She patted Ariel on the shoulder, though her hand passed straight through Ariel's body. Since she can use that kind of movement technique, she is clearly no ordinary person. You don't need to worry too much. Late that night in the boys' dormitory, moonlight poured through the corridor windows, casting mottled light and shadows across the floor. The coolness unique to the night filled the air. Several students on duty patrolled the halls with lanterns. The lanterns gave off a dim, warm glow, swaying in the darkness, like drifting will-o'-the-wisps. Ever since the day a cultist suddenly broke into the academy had tightened its security. The patrols were more frequent than before. Footsteps echoed through the corridors. Lantern light cast wavering shadows on the walls. Just then, a sharp whoosh suddenly sounded behind one of the students. The sound was brief and piercing, as if something had shot through the air at incredible speed. A gust of wind followed, blowing the hair away from his forehead. By the time the young man turned around, there was nothing to be seen. The corridor was completely empty. Only the lantern light swayed faintly in the wind. By then Moen Campbell, who had raced all the way to the dormitory, was already panting heavily. His handsome face was covered in sweat. His golden hair clung to his forehead. He bent over with both hands braced on his knees, gasping for breath. His entire body was completely drained. Huff huff, I finally made it back. His voice was filled with relief. His blue eyes carried the exhaustion of someone who had barely escaped disaster. Next time, I need to wait until my senior's potion is more refined before transforming again. And we absolutely can't arrange it for nighttime. That was way too dangerous. He straightened up and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Ariel almost kept me there. And why have there been patrols in the boys' dormitory lately? He rubbed his temples. His face was full of helplessness. Damn, if they'd spotted me in that outfit just now, it wouldn't have been merely a matter of reputation. The entire school would have thought I was some cross-dressing pervert. When he imagined that scene, he could not help shuddering. Damn it,